Hiya! Welcome! So this is an impromptu video, and there's going to be quite a few like this on YouTube over the coming days, I think. I've seen one or two already myself. I'm recording this on the bank holiday Monday, 26th of August, and of course, as you know, I'm going to talk a little bit about my thoughts on what I think by the time you're watching me here now, this will have been confirmed officially, but the Oasis reunion that is slated to happen next summer. So this weekend that's just gone, this bank holiday weekend, there's been a lot of speculation over social media. There's been cryptic posts put up by Liam Gallagher on his social media, Noel Gallagher and the official Oasis social media accounts as well. The speculation is finally, after 15 years, although I suppose it'll be 16 years by the time 2025 rolls around, Oasis are going to reform. Massive news really for British music. I'd say, for me personally, this is probably the biggest reunion I think that's happened for the British music scene, maybe since the Stone Roses got back together, which was kind of against all the odds back in, that was announced 2011, was it? 2011, 2012? Well over a decade ago. Doesn't feel that long at all. Plenty of news articles out there. You'll no doubt have read a lot yourself and watched videos and seen stuff on Instagram, Twitter, etc, etc. I've just got an article that went up this morning on the BBC News website that I'll read a bit from. It says that Liam and Noel Gallagher have ramped up speculation that Oasis reunion could finally be on the cards, as the brothers teased that a band announcement could be made on Tuesday. So yeah, tomorrow, the 27th of August, I think 8 AM, yes, I'm just checking the article, it's 8 AM, an official announcement is going to be made of some description, and the likelihood is that it's going to be announcing big UK gigs, mainly at Wembley Stadium in London and Heaton Park in Manchester for next July, I think. So you're watching this and that will have happened yesterday, because I'm intending this video to go out on the Wednesday, the 28th of August. Exciting stuff. Oasis aren't to everyone's taste. I know that, I get that. I have had a kind of on-off relationship with the group myself over the years. Loved their early albums, and yes, I do include Be Here Now in that as well. I'm one of the few people who actually rates that album. All the work they've done has kind of grown on me over the years, such as Standing on the Shoulder of Giants. I do rate that. I think that's a really strong album, but I didn't particularly like it when it first came out, as I did used to be kind of an early adopter with Oasis. I'd buy all their albums and singles on CD as soon as they'd come out, but kind of I fell away from them after Standing on the Shoulder of Giants. Plus my wife at the time was a big Oasis fan, although not so big that she particularly collected them. So, you know, that kind of put me off in a way. But anyway, some of their later albums, there's some good stuff on them, you know, tracks like Stop Crying Your Heart Out, I think stand up with anything Noel Gallagher has ever written, really. I'm not going to speak about their subsequent solo work and, you know, Beady Eye and High Flying Birds and things like that, because I haven't really investigated enough. I'm just kind of talking about Oasis and kind of peak years Oasis, the 1990s really, as to kind of my personal sort of peak of fandom for them. This BBC article says that speculation is that there's going to be shows at London's Wembley Stadium, Manchester's Heaton Park. Apparently Wembley Stadium have confirmed already that certain dates have been booked, but they're not allowed to say who the act is next July or next summer. I think July is the month they're saying. So they'll obviously confirm that it's Oasis tomorrow, the Tuesday, or yesterday as you're watching this. And also apparently, according to the BBC, there's speculation that they'll headline Glastonbury next year as well. Of course, the Glastonbury Festival, for those who aren't based in the UK who watch this, is probably the biggest music festival in the United Kingdom, and has been for many years now. Oasis did play there and presumably headlined there. I don't know if they headlined actually, because it might have been fairly early on in their tenure. They certainly played there at least once back in the mid-90s. I suppose the impetus for them getting back together finally, I mean, first of all, and I won't go into the specific minutiae of it, and I don't know it all myself, but Liam and Noel, they fell out. I mean, they've always had a very sort of contentious relationship, you know, dating back to when they were the biggest thing on planet Earth, really. You know, they were falling out, and they always felt like they could sort of split up at any time, really. And amazingly, they carried on till 2008, 2009, really, which was a lot longer than I expected them to go for, really. The BBC article talks about a backstage fight in 2009 in Paris that resulted in Noel leaving the band, and yeah, they've not recorded or played together since as Oasis. Definitely maybe it celebrates its 30th anniversary this week, actually. It's getting reissues and stuff like that. Look out for upcoming records roundups at some point where I might have Oasis related records to show you. And next year, of course, will be the 30th anniversary of their second album, and my favourite of Oasis's albums personally, What's the Story, Morning Glory. So this could all tie in nicely. The Oasis reunion gigs at Wembley, in Manchester, maybe Glastonbury, maybe elsewhere. Scotland has also been mentioned as well in some articles, that there might be some Scottish dates, and you never know if they can coexist, Liam and Noel, and get on and be professional, and, you know, make this reunion work for all the fans. You know, they might venture out to Europe, the US, etc. Who knows? You know, that's just me speculating now. But it's exciting stuff. I would like to go and see Oasis. I'm assuming by the time you're watching this video, tour dates will have been announced, if not the date of when you can order your tickets. I mean, the demand for them is going to be massive. You know, now's the time, I suppose. If Liam and Noel have finally sort of reached an understanding in their mature years, don't forget they're both guys in the 50s. They're not getting any younger. Nobody is. Liam has had a lot of credit and positive reviews for his solo work over recent years, and how his voice has improved and got back to a kind of a strength that it had back in the early days of Oasis, really. So I think it's probably the right time after 15, 16 years to kind of cash in, really, as this is going to be an absolute money spinner. I can imagine the cheapest tickets for Wembley, Heaton Park, etc. Still going to be pushing 3 figures, really. So as much as I'd love to see one of these gigs, you know, preferably Heaton Park would be my choice, but I would consider Wembley. I wouldn't do Glastonbury, because I just don't like the idea of festivals personally. But, you know, it'll all become clear when the announcement is made after all these teasers and everything. Who do I think will be in this Oasis lineup alongside Liam and Noel? Apparently Bonehead. He's been playing a lot with Liam lately. He's not been an Oasis member since it would have been around 1998, 1999. I think he left, or was asked to leave, the band during the early part of the Standing on the Shoulder of Giants recording sessions. Gwigsy, the bassist, left at a similar time, but he's a very sort of private person. So I can imagine, I would have thought Bonehead, and you'll know probably by now anyway, so I could be contradicted. That's what comes of recording a video like this before the announcement has happened. But I think Bonehead is going to be a part of it, which I think is going to be really good. Bonehead, of course, played rhythm guitar for Oasis on their first 3 albums. Gwigsy, I can't see it, but there again, I could have been contradicted. And I would have thought it'd be Alan White on drums. Alan White, of course, he joined during the recording sessions for What's the Story, Morning Glory, replacing Tony McCarroll. He was in the group till, was it Don't Believe the Truth, was the first album he wasn't on. There's going to be Oasis fans who'll know this information instantly. Really, I'm sorry. I'm a big Oasis fan. I wouldn't say massive, as in I know everything. I've read books. I've got all the albums, many of them on mini disc, and I've reviewed one of them on Mini Disc Monday. That was the first ever Mini Disc Monday, actually, where I reviewed their live album from Wembley Stadium, ironically enough, Familiar to Millions, and there'll be the other Oasis albums I've got on MD reviewed in that series over time. So my predictions would be certainly Liam and Noel, obviously, otherwise it's not an Oasis reunion, is it? Bonehead, I'd say, seems quite likely, but not quite so sure about Alan White, but I think he'd be the drummer that people would want to be in the band. And, you know, maybe they'll get a session bassist, or they'll get Andy Bell, of course, Andy Bell, who was in Ride, Hurricane #1. He essentially replaced Guigsy on bass in the early 2000s. So I'm looking forward to seeing the announcement tomorrow. I'm gonna hopefully try and get a ticket. I don't want to kind of sit here and say, yeah, I'm gonna go and watch them, because I might not be able to afford it, or the demand might be so high that I miss my chance. It depends on when the tickets go on sale. It depends on a lot of factors, obviously, but overall I think this is a good thing. Oasis, they mean a lot to me simply because, you know, they were becoming massive during a part of my life, you know, a coming of age kind of period of my life, you know, mid-teens. In my last couple of years at secondary school, I was getting into my first serious relationship. You know, kind of culture and politics in the UK were changing as well. I look back on the 90s, and it's easy to put your rose-tinted specs on for something really like that, but I do look back on it as kind of like a magical time, really, and it wasn't all great, you know, I'm not going to sit here and bullshit about it, but Oasis were kind of like a soundtrack to a lot of people's lives. That's a cliche, I know, but it's exciting, you know. I wanted to come on and make this video and just give my thoughts and feelings and opinions about what might happen. As I say, me personally, if I was in the sort of predicting game more seriously, I would say that if the UK dates are successful, then they'll go further afield, you know, maybe later in 2025 or into 2026, who knows. And with it being the 30th anniversary of Morning Glory, we're getting a reissue campaign for definitely maybe this week. There's, I would say almost definitely, pun intended, gonna be a big reissue campaign next year for Morning Glory. And then with the Wembley Heaton Park dates happening around the same time, you know, it's going to be Oasis mania all over again, really, you know, these 30 odd years later. But I think that's going to do it for me. Thank you for watching this. Just kind of me sat here giving you my thoughts on what I'm hoping, I'm sure, will be the official Oasis reunion announcement that happened yesterday, Tuesday the 27th of August. And it's not just this video being made redundant because it was kind of a damp squib of an announcement. I want to say special thanks to my wonderful subscribers and generous patrons. Do please let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on the Oasis reunion. Were you a fan? Are you a fan still? Who do you prefer, Oasis or Blur? I'm not going to get into it now, but I've always felt Blur are a little bit overrated. I'm not saying Oasis are perfect. They're never going to be my very favourite band, but they're in there, and they're in the top 10 for me of my all-time favourites. And it'd be great if they get back together and I could see them, but who knows. Anyway, I'm going to go now. Do please join me next time for my next music-related video. Cheers, everyone. See ya, kid.